We founded this organization a week after the Parkland shooting to give DMV students a voice in the fight for stricter gun control. We have proven that now is the time for change.
This is Montgomery Blair High School in Silver Spring, Maryland, one of thousands of educational institutions that are fueling youth activism. From the March for Our Lives to the Climate Strike Fridays for Future movement, millions of youth have involved themselves in the political process. But youth involvement in politics is nothing new.
Sometimes it's a cause, sometimes it's a war in particular, especially if people feel they're going to be drafted. Sometimes it's a period when people feel their voices aren't being heard. Often at the same time, people participate because they want to play a role. They want that self-identity, that they're an important contributing member of society, that they play a role in government. And so there are periods when young people have found their way into politics, men and women, white and African American, and all different racial populations, because they want to play a role, because it says something to them about their involvement in their citizenship. It's a way of announcing your role in society.
If anything, youth engagement has fallen off from its historic highs. In the 1972 election, the first election in which 18 to 20-year-olds were eligible to vote, 55% of youth voters cast ballots. Youth voter turnout has never reached that number again. This status quo is the result of a decades-long crisis in American civics. Schools across America once taught constitutional and civic principles as an educational requirement. But according to an American Progress Center report, only 9 states and the District of Columbia currently require at least 1 year of government classes in high school. The lack of concentrated civic curricula in our schools violates a basic principle of American government, the educated citizen.
The founders of American constitutional democracy understood that power and knowledge go together. And if you want to have your little particle of the sovereign power that is citizenship, you need to empower yourself with education.
The consequences of a decline in civics classes are harrowing.
Let me start with another analogy, which is that when you learn to drive a car, your parents do not simply hand you the keys to a Ferrari. That's a very powerful engine, a very powerful beast. Democracy is like that too. And what having an instruction course and the car manual does for you is give you all the tools that you need to know, even if you haven't put them in action yet, of how things are supposed to work. And that's what civic education does, definitely. It helps you understand the purposes of things, but also the grander scheme of things.
How are youth expected to become the stewards of our democracy when they're not even taught how democracy works?
The more they understand through civic education the importance of that vote, and that they really can change things. I mean, the fact that the House is controlled by Democrats or Republicans or vice versa is going to lead to dramatically different policy. So stepping up, and it's really a responsibility to vote.
The YMCA has helped meet this need through its Youth and Government model government programs.
For youth in government, we kind of serve as an intermediary. We help schools and teachers provide students with ways to make transformational change in their communities. We ask students, what are things that you want to see done differently in your community? What are things that you want to improve? What are some of the problems you think aren't part of the conversation at your schools right now? We give them a platform to do that.
Others call for instituting robust programs of civic instruction back in American schools.
So from my vantage point, the whole purpose of public schooling is civic education. It is to create and to prepare students for their important roles as citizens. So it's hugely problematic when schools aren't doing that, or at least to the degree or scale or breadth that we would hope.
Even others stress that civics education should be more than just a schooling initiative, but rather a holistic process, socializing youth to politics.
You know, solely having a civics class or a civics requirement isn't enough. It has to be something that is relevant to young people, where young people have a voice in it, where, you know, we talked about the skills that civic education can manifest, and learning how to have discussions with people who may disagree with you.
No matter how civics education is accomplished, however, its benefits are clear. Civics education equitably and universally gives young people the opportunity to learn about how the system works. Our vision for 2020 is for civics education to reach the forefront of the presidential administration's agenda. We want to encourage millions of formerly disengaged people to vote in 2020 and beyond. When youth are given the opportunity and the skills to become informed voters and engaged citizens, they vote, because democracy must be learned.
What is the ability to read, write, and calculate if we don't understand the civic actions that will secure our future and keep it on a prosperous trajectory? You cannot build the roof before you lay the foundation.